Hello guys, Koro, Sasa, Habari. Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel, Gina Yako My Take. Welcome back. Sorry it took me so long to do part 2. Guys, now I understand why YouTube vloggers kept saying, oh, I'm so sorry I was busy this week, I was not able to do this. Oh, I'm sorry this. Okay, now I totally get it, now that I'm a YouTuber. Oh my God, it's a lot of work, guys, to bring you guys content. That's why you need to share our content, okay? So I apologize it took me so long to bring part 2 of how I came to the US. And before I start, I just need to let you guys know what happened over the weekend. I hosted a dinner party at my place. My friends are so awesome. After everything was done, you know the way you go to bed, you're so tired, you want to sleep, and then your friends make you, I mean, they clean your house, sparkling clean. You know the way me, I like it spotless. I love it. So I woke up thinking, oh my God, I need to go clean my house. And when I got downstairs, I was like, oh my God, I have amazing friends. So thank you so much, guys. Another thing I wanted to share real quick that I learned from Tyra Banks. You know, Tyra Banks once shared in her show that when she's hosting a party or when she has friends coming over, she likes to put her, she buys water bottles like all of us, but then she puts your name on it with a marker. And that's what I did in my party. Everybody finished their water. And my friend Edna, as you can see, my friend Edna left her water here. So you know what I do with this water? I don't throw it away because water is life, water is precious, and you know, so I put it in the fridge. So Edna is one of my closest friends, so I know she's gonna come back to visit. When she comes back and say, hey Jean, can I have water? Because Edna loves her water. Her skin is flawless, by the way. I'll be like, here Edna. Then if she finishes that one, I'll write her name on the next water bottle. And yeah, so that's something I learned from Tyra Banks years ago, but I never really implemented it because I didn't need to. But now, because I buy a lot of bottled water, especially during these COVID times, and my water over here is not it doesn't taste good. I don't know if it's Tombo where I live or it's the fridge. I don't know. We have to figure it out, but I use bottled water. Anyway, so I want to continue with the part 2 of our videos. Today I'm going to do 2 separate videos, so watch out for the next one. They're going to come back to back, okay? So it's up to you to sit down, find something to enjoy. And yeah, I went to the spa. I love this. I don't like red or orange, but I wanted orange, and I think it really came out nice. I did this last weekend. Yeah, because I always like blue, purple, green, like the softer, darker colors. Next time I'm gonna try black and see how that goes. Anyway, so let me jump in. So where was I last time? So I told you guys how I went to the embassy. Now I had gotten to the embassy. I met this really nice gentleman, but before we get there, so they needed a bank statement of over 2 million Kenya shillings, and I didn't have that. My dad didn't have that at that time. Okay. I had siblings in school, you know, so no, we didn't have that. So a relative gave me the bank statement. I don't want to say their name because out of respect and privacy. So, but this relative told me that they were going to give me this bank statement on the morning of the interview, because I had asked for it the day before, and they were like, no, don't worry, I'll make sure you get it by that morning. And I was so anxious. So you know, when I got to the embassy in Gigiri over there, it was so beautiful back then. I went by there anyway, it doesn't look as beautiful as it used to be, maybe because of all the other new buildings that are there. But so I was waiting outside. While I was waiting outside, the US police came and told me, hey, you can't stand there, you need to move further, you know, because of course they have to keep the embassy safe. I was this little girl, 18-year-old. I didn't know I was not supposed to stand there, but they were polite enough to tell me to move down. So there used to be a Shell gas station further, and somebody used to sell flowers down there. So I went and waited there, and I'm so anxious because I'm supposed to be getting into the embassy by, I believe it was 8:30, and right now it's 7 something, and I'm just like, oh my God. So I stood there, I'm tapping my legs. I'm like, oh my God, where are you guys? Oh, we're coming, they're in traffic. The driver is bringing it, and I'm like, oh God, dear Lord, seriously, God. So anyway, finally, I see them. It was like 8, I believe. I see them. I see the driver coming by, and I was like, oh my God, thank you, thank you. I took this and literally ran into the embassy. Of course, you have to check in, security clearance, blah, blah, blah. Walked in and we sat in here. It was so cold. You guys, this was July. You know, July in Nairobi, it was so cold. I had a jacket, but I was freezing. And I had been sick a day before that, which I will tell you guys my story, how I blacked out in town one day. I will come back with that story. Actually, let me write it down. How I blacked out in town. If I don't write these things, I always forget. So I went in, sat there, and I sat next to this really nice girl. She was from one of those wealthy Kikuyu families. Of course, I don't remember her name, but I know her father was very wealthy. This girl came armed with title deeds. She came with, you what, me? I came with my I-20 and my what is it called? The bank statement, and of course my certificates and all that, my high school certificates and that kind of stuff. And I felt like, oh God, I'm screwed. I'm looking around, people have stacks of documents, and I'm like, did I do something wrong? Did I bring? So in my head, I'm just like, I don't know. I really don't know. So we're sitting. Of course, the line is moving slowly. People are going to the counter. They're being denied, and I'm just like, this is crazy. So we move. My friend who had all these title deeds, everything, she was on my left side because, she was on my right side. So the person on this side, closer, because you move this way back then. I don't know how it is right now. Move this way. So she was going ahead of me, before me. And I was like, okay, how she's gonna get it now? After she gets it, at least, if she gets it, then I'm just like, okay, I don't know. Yeah, it was a very nerve-wracking situation, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we waited. It was a long wait. It was almost 2 hours before our turns came, and it was so depressing just seeing people being denied. And back then, there used to be this Asian lady who, if you go to her window, and I can guarantee you, I remember her. You go to her window, she was so rude, and she was denying most people. And I was like, dear Lord, please don't let me go to that window, because if I go to that window, I am screwed. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So our turns came. This girl went ahead, and she was shaking. Honestly, I think she could have gotten her visa, but she was shaking. And the more she was shaking, the more I was getting nervous too. So she walks there trembling, and I'm like, oh God. So they ask her all these questions. I didn't even want to look. I was looking down because I'm just like, oh my God. Because looking at her means my turn is next, okay? So I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't even look. Next thing I just know, no, we're sorry, we can't give you the visa. And I remember her turning back this way, and I was just looking at her. I don't remember her looking at my face, but I just looked at her, and she was so sad. I honestly believe she's now in the US because she had every tool. I just feel like she was not confident, Not that I was confident, but there's something we were taught in the Kenya high school. It's confidence. Whether you like it or not, you just have to fake it, or should I say, faith it till you make it. Even when inside, you're crashing inside. And of course, I was not confident in high school, in Form 1 and Form 2. You guys know why. My confidence started coming out in Form 3 and Form 4. And Form 4, I think I was okay. I was able to answer questions in class. Form 3 and Form 4, that is. So So now the next thing, I'm just like sitting there waiting for my name to be called, because they had to call your name and you're told which booth to go to. And I was just like, dear Lord, don't let me go to that Asian lady's booth, because I've not seen anyone got a visa from that booth. Then this gentleman called my name, and I was like, hallelujah, God, at least I know I have a shot here. I do have a shot. So I went to him. He was a young guy, very, very friendly, smiling. And he said, hi, Jean. I'm like, hi. And I was like, oh, okay, he's nice. So at least my guards went down a little bit. Then he starts saying, okay, so Jean, you went to the Kenya High School? I'm like, yes. Then he was like, the one in Kileleshwa, right? Then I was like, yes. Then it's like, okay, so they need you to have $20,000 in your bank account. So what is $20,000 in Kenyan shillings? And then at that time it was 1.4 million Kenyan shillings. So I said that. Actually, I believe I said 1.2 or 1.3 or something. Then he said, well, it's about 1.4, which was, it's still correct. Then I was like, no, it wasn't me yet. Then he goes like, so Binghamton is one of the very coldest places in New York. It's very cold, so you're going to need very warm clothes when you get there. Binghamton University is a good school. Then, I remember he asked me, I've never really remembered this. He asked me, so who's this who's paying for your tuition? Then I said XYZ, whose name I'm not gonna say. Then he was like, okay. Then he starts telling me about how cold Binghamton is, to make sure I bring warm jackets because it's gonna be very cold, and that's a very good school. It's a college town, da 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 da. Then he told me, okay, Jean, you can come for your visa at 2 p.m. because we had to come back in the afternoon. Back then, that was 2003. You came back for your visa the same day. Oh my God, I was so happy. Hey, so anyway, I was like, oh, thank you. Took my documents, just thinking, oh my God, he may change his mind. Went away and left the embassy. But let me backtrack a little bit. What is it with the Kenyan ladies who work in the embassy, in the US embassy? They're so rude. I'm like, what is your problem? Are you mad that somebody's trying their chance going to... I was like, the lady, the way she treated me, I'll never forget her face in my life. I don't know her name, but I'll never forget her face. She was so rude. Not just to me, but to everybody that went there to check in, because you have to present your documents there first before you're told to go sit down. She was so rude. She pushes your documents away, saying, this is... And I'm like, no. This is what you need. I'm bringing it back, and she's just so mean. I don't know what it is with we Kenyans and customer service, man. We can't continue like that. It's not right. Even the Asian lady that was interviewing people, yes, she was very, very tough on interviews, but at least she said hi when you go to her window, and she was not like, that kind of stuff. So anyway, so let me proceed. So I left the place and I called my mom first, I remember, and my relative lived around Gigiri. It wasn't far, so it was a walking distance from the embassy to the house. So I started calling mom, and I was like, Mom, guess what? It's like, what? Then I was like, Mom, I got the visa. Nyakadera, nyatena. And I don't remember some of the things she said. I think she probably said a prayer. Then I called my dad too, and I told my dad I got the visa, and my dad was so happy. Congratulations, Jean. My dad, formal and all that. I was so happy. So at least that's one stress down. So now we had to get the air ticket and those other kind of things. So anyway, I got home, told my relatives that, hey, I got the visa. They were all very happy. So now we had to book a flight. And this was a one-way ticket. I remember these people charged me 80,000. By the way, that was a rip-off. Now come to think about it, because anyway, but maybe tickets were expensive back then, but that was crazy. This is a one-way trip, not two-way. Anyway, and 80,000 shillings at that time was like $1,200. It wasn't that, like, anyway, let me stop. And so then I came to the US, and that was my first flight, by the way, and I was so excited. It was KLM. I was so excited about this flight, I'm telling you. But at least, even though I was like excited, I wasn't scared of flying, by the way, even though I'd never flown before. Thank God, right now I've flown too many times, I can't even count. But anyway, that was my first flight from Kenya to the US, through Amsterdam. It was so like scary, I can just imagine what was going through my parents' mind. Imagine you're 18-year-old flying to the US by themselves. And then I landed at Michigan, which is one of the biggest airports in the US, and I felt so lost. I got there and I stood and I looked, and I was like, I thought Amsterdam was, but Amsterdam airport, yes, it's big, but it's not that big. And I got to Detroit, because that was my point of entry in the US. It was so beautiful. I was like, oh my God, this country is beautiful. But at the same time, I was like, this airport is so huge. So I didn't know where to get my gate, because these are those airports where you have to take a train to see which side, or pass through this tunnel with lights. And I was just like, so I went and asked this group of people. This was my first experience with African Americans. I asked them, where this gate is on my ticket, and they started laughing, and I know they were laughing at my accent. I'm like, wait, I just finished this accent business in Kenya, and now I'm coming to the United States, and they're laughing at me again. Or maybe they were laughing because, I mean, that was a long flight from, I mean, I landed in the US after I don't know how many hours. Maybe I looked dirty. I don't know. No, but I looked pretty, but innocent and young. Maybe it was my accent. I really don't know, and I don't care. But anyway, so I got there. They gave me directions. I don't care whether they were laughing or not. I got directions, and they directed me to where my gate was, and I took my flight from Detroit to Binghamton, and that's how I landed at Binghamton Airport. And my mom's uncle, my mom's cousin, my uncle was there waiting for me. He picked me up, and my first meal in the US was barbecue ribs. And I was like, why would somebody put sugar in meat? Like, why? It was kind of nice though. It tasted good, but I just didn't. I was like, I wish they'd put some kind of sauce that is salty or something. I don't know. And that's how I got home. Then, of course, after a few days, we went to, I think it was 2 days, we went to Binghamton University, and I fell in love immediately. It was so green, it was so beautiful. It was still summer, because I came to the US August 10th, and I remember the same month Wamalwa Kijana died. So we took a tour of the campus. I loved it, checked in with the International Students Office. It was just amazing. It felt surreal. It felt like, oh my God, I'm in the US. Then, of course, we had to go shopping for clothes because I was told not to bring any clothes. I'd only brought like the basics, like the bare minimum. So I went clothes shopping, which was another ball game. And so that's why when I have relatives who are coming to the US, I try to make them very comfortable, make sure they're not struggling or going through anything I went through. Anyway, bought my clothes, we had to check in. Of course, culture shock, you meet other international students. The beauty of it, it's different accents from different countries. There's no such thing at TCG who's looking at you, how, what, no. Different cultures, different backgrounds. They're so excited to meet someone from Kenya. You're so excited to meet someone from Japan. I met a girl called Ayako, and we bonded because I'm Ayako and she's from Japan, and we were like, oh my God, hi Ayako. So we used to meet on campus, and we used to call each other Ayako because it's so easy. I had an amazing time first week until winter came in. Hey! And Binghamton winter starts in September. It was so cold, and now I remember what the guy told me at the embassy, that hey, you should have brought even warmer clothes. I was like, anyway, thank God we went jacket shopping. I got warmer clothes, but it was so cold. By the time it was like November, I'm freezing. My face is becoming numb. I mean, I was suffering. I was like, man, I should have picked other schools, like other states that are warmer, because I suffered. But Binghamton was a small college city, a city of 200,000 people at that time. I think I recently Googled, there are not that many still, because people come there to go to school and most people move out. The people who live there are people who work in the college and work at the malls close by. But I love Binghamton. One day I'll talk to you guys about how I was part of the campaign team for the Binghamton mayor at that time. Guys, some of the things we did when I was in university, it was just amazing. I had good college life, but I still feel like I wish I went to college in Kenya, because I think I missed out a part of my life by not going to university in Kenya. I feel like there's those little things that my friends experienced that I could have experienced back then, especially University of Nairobi, which was my dream university. But anyway, so that's how I got to Binghamton. Now, here was the challenge. I was lucky enough or fortunate enough that my parents were able to pay my first semester, and second semester and subsequent, it was a struggle. I'm telling you, it was not easy. But I had to get a job. There's no such thing as, I'm not gonna do it. I had to get a job. I had to get my first job in America was in the college dining hall. And I really stalked the manager to give me this job, because she kept taking me in circles. But I'm one person, if I want something, I will get it, no matter what. Of course, not in a dirty way. Clean way. Just keep following. I'm very persistent. I got a job there, and I remember my pay was $5.15, and I think it went up to $5.75 at some point. My job involved making sandwiches, Man, I used to mess up those sandwiches, but you cannot. Right now I know all the dressings, all salad dressings, I know them. The Caesar dressing, honey Dijon, I know ranch, of course, Italian, balsamic. I mean, I know all sauces, all dressings. I know them because of working in the college dining hall. And the students used to laugh at me, like not laughing in a bad way, but laughing like, Jean, are you going to screw up my sandwich again? I knew students and I knew what they liked. I knew the ones who don't take pork, so you had to change your glass. I knew by the time I was finishing working at the college dining hall, I was an expert in sandwiches. Then I also had to sweep the floors. Yes. So if some of you think, alienda America, sijui anaosha matako. Hey, my friend, that money pays, okay? As long as I'm able to pay my bills, let it be. But it was not a lot of money because as a student, you're only allowed to work 20 hours a week, not more, on campus. So my jobs were within campus. And another thing about during that time is that my first semester, I had to learn a very, very deep lesson. You know, you go to class, lecture is not just lecture to physics 101 or chemistry 101. That's it. No, this chemistry 101, you have lab section of it, and then you have discussion section of it. So the discussion section of this part, you have to discuss. So you know, my anxiety coming from Kenya about my accent, your anxiety is still bothering you because you're like, okay, if I open my mouth, these kids are going to just laugh the way I'm used to. But the beauty of it is that they didn't, but I did not try to the first semester. And I realized I got good grades in everything except participation. Why? Because I didn't want to speak, and I was like, damn, I could have gotten a plain A in that class, but I ended up getting like a B plus or a A minus because I did not participate in the discussion section. Oh my God, that was a culture shock. Iliuma, that thing really hurt. So I said next semester I have to do better. So I don't care what it is. One thing about in this country is that even if you just say something like, you just repeat exactly what someone said before, it counts for you. That's what I like about this country. Everybody is allowed to speak anything. So sometimes some people didn't even read their books. They go and combine everything that some people said, and then the instructor is like, good job. And I was like, hey, so this is how American system is. Hey, participation. Okay, I got it. Got you. Next semester we are on. We got this. So that was one of the culture shocks about you really have to participate in class, in group discussions especially. Lecture not necessarily, but discussion, yes. You need friends, even if it's one friend, so that they keep you in the loop, things that are going on in your department, things that are going on with your lecture, In each class, just make sure you have one friend and they have your phone number. I didn't even have a cell phone, by the way. I didn't have a cell phone in the US until 2004. After Facebook was founded. Yeah. So, I'm telling you, nimetoka mbali. If some of you want to judge people, why Jean nowadays, why does she brag so much? Hey. Let me brag in peace. I'm the one who knows the things I've been through in this country. You don't know. You don't know half of them. So let me enjoy right now that God has given me peace and rest, okay? Thank you. Anyway, another culture shock other than the cold participation marks. Another culture shock, I expected America to be a concrete city. I never expected to see trees or things. I expected it to be this one big city, the way we see in the movies. Hey, watch out. Binghamton is a small town, like really tiny small town. And the apartments there are just like, hey, where? Anyway, then, of course, I was so shocked to see, okay, that one is personal. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into how students were living there because I'll speak my story. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a car on campus like most students did because I couldn't afford it. Every little money I had to go towards tuition or towards my books. So no, I did not have that. Another thing, another culture shock on campus is how to pronounce your words. So some of you like to say, hey, why is she twanging? Why is she twanging? My friend, when you come to the US, you have to change the way you pronounce things for people to be able to understand you and for you to be able to articulate yourself either in the grocery store or in lecture. So you're not going to say things like, I want water. Most people don't know. The Wazungus, people who are born here, who've never traveled out of this country, at least the ones who've traveled understand what you're trying to say. But these ones, they'll be like, huh, and it's annoying. You don't want to repeat yourself every sentence. So why can't you just say water? Just get it over with. And then, sometimes after you've started pronouncing things like that, remember I came here young. So the accent, some of it sticks. It sticks. So when you start talking to your fellow Kenyans, and they're like, hey, Jean, siku hizi una twang? Jean. My friend, my sister just came here, a few years ago, and now she's twanging too. And she used to be like, hey, Jean, yes, you see? Yeah, it just comes. Even you, I know you're planning to come to the US this year probably, or next year. You're coming as a student, or you're coming to do something that is going to make you stay in this country longer than maybe 2 years. Trust me, you're going to be pronouncing things differently. You're not going to say tomato anymore. You're going to say tomato. Or you're not gonna say what is the one that really sumbuas people? Car. That's my car. That's my car. My car. Someone might think you're saying cat like cutting meat, or cat like parka. Like, it's just so different, guys. So let us just learn. And especially when you're in healthcare, where you really deal with a lot of people. You really deal with people from all kinds of background. You just have to pronounce your words clearly. So it ends up being Jean siku hizi anatwang. No, it's not like, I would have preferred to just talk the way I used to talk from the time I was born. But it's not gonna work that way. Okay, guys? So don't judge people who've come to this country and start talking a certain way. However, I will judge people who, never mind, but people who, for example, I have a friend who's never left Kenya, but she twangs like nobody's business. Like, for example, ulitoa hiyo twang wapi? Like, were you watching TV and practicing? Anyway, let me sip on my drink before you judge me, because I feel like bursting out laughing. Yeah, that. And so those are some of the things I had to navigate when I was in this country the first semester. The last part of this video, I'm gonna talk about how I graduated, the things I had to go through, how I had to go to the dean's office and ask for that scholarship. And it got to a point where it was so, it was hard. It was really hard, and my dad really struggled. And that's why I'm saying, me right now, if my dad sent me a message and said, Jean, I need this, I will jump and send it. Me, one thing I've done, and I consistently do, is to make sure my dad's M-Pesa rings all the time. If I have it, I send it. Because my dad really sacrificed a lot of his money. My dad even sold his Benz because of me, because of my school fees. So I really, anything my dad wants. Muliona, me and my siblings came together and bought our parents a vehicle, honey. Just because of his other vehicle that he used to use broke down, and he kept repairing it. We were like, let's just get them. So it's something that you see your dad going above and beyond. And the first semester, each time my parents called, I would cry. I told my parents I wanted to come back home. My parents said no. And it was very hard. It was emotionally draining. It was not always just rosy, because in this country with strangers, yes, it was like boarding school, but now different, because now you have to, it was just hard. So guys, come to look at it, since high school up to right now, I've just been living away from my parents. So from the time I was 13 to right now, boarding school, we used to go home, 3 months in a year? April, August, and December, Then you finished high school, and then we stayed home. Actually, those 2 years that we stayed home, at the time, it's the longest I spent time with my parents. 2001 and 2002. Actually, 2001 iliisha. I mean, it was really 2002. And then 2003, I came to this country. So really, in a nutshell, from the time I was 13 when I joined high school up to right now, I've never really spent a long time with my parents. When I went to Kenya in 2007, that's when post-election violence happened. That it found me in Kenya. One day I'll talk about it. That's the longest I'd spent time with my parents. Then the next time I went, I spent 6 weeks. But out of these 6 weeks, you're not really home with your parents. You're home with them maybe 3 weeks out of that. But the rest of it, you're traveling around. You're doing all these things. So it's hard. I've been standing still away from my parents from the time I was 13, which is very, very hard to talk about. And that bond, I love my parents very much, but I feel like I should have been a kid more. I mean, if I had gone to campus in Kenya, I know my parents would have been spoiling me with all this money and all that, because the amount of money they were paying here was very different from what they're paying there. And also, back then, students could get scholarships easily. Right now, the student visa rules have changed, guys. Changed a lot, because back then, unafika, you land here, you already have your social security number and everything. You have your student ID. You have everything. Like, your student ID is your ID. So nobody's bothering you about anything. Right now, you land here, you don't get a social security card. You have to apply for it. You have to apply for a job. Once you get the job, then you have to apply for the social security. Then they have to send you that, which takes a few months. I mean, things have really changed. But if you have some kind of savings, and you really are determined to come to school in the US, please do. I always tell people, just make sure you're able to pay your tuition at least for 1 year. Another option is to come to the US for your master's degree. Chemistry, physics, biology, they always have scholarships. They have this arrangement where you have tuition assistance. Like you teach for them, you help them teach. You're a teacher assistant. Those discussion groups I was talking about, you help run those discussions. In exchange, they pay for your tuition. There's so many opportunities of such. So if you're someone who went to school for chemistry, you're a chemistry teacher and those kind of things, you can apply to master's degree or PhD program, bachelor's to PhD program. They'll pay for your tuition, you help them teach, and you help them do research. You can just explore those. Of course, you can come to the US as a visitor. Then that one, I'm not sure I want to talk about it in details. You can inbox me if you want me to talk more about that. But with a visitor's visa, you have to get someone to invite you to an event, maybe Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthday, anniversary, graduation, those kind of things. Alafu unakuja hapa. Visitors visas are now 5 years old, but you're required to leave after 6 months. So if you're lucky enough, maybe you met somebody anaweza kuoa, or unaweza oa if you're a man, those kind of things. So those are the kind of things I'm talking about. If you're a teacher in Kenya and you have a bachelor's degree, my friend Vilma is a teacher here in the US. She has a way that teachers can come and teach here. I know some of you are going to be like, oh, why are you taking workers from Kenya? I beg, people are looking for green pastures. So you stay in Kenya if you don't want to. Let people who want to seek greener pastures go seek greener pastures. Another opportunity is nurses. If you have a bachelor's degree in nursing or even an associate's degree in nursing, there are agencies that can bring you here, because we have a shortage and we have a crisis. I know Kenya also has the same crisis, but honey, you've seen how Kenya treats healthcare workers. It's been very disheartening, and I can't even talk about it because I'm so mad. So you can pursue that route to come to the US. Now, after this video, don't tell me to send you an invitation letter. I cannot, sorry. But if you can find somebody to do that, do it. If you need counsel on how to navigate this country, let me know. But one thing I believe is that America is an equalizer. It doesn't matter what you were in Kenya. Here, when you come, it's a level ground. Hakuna kitu like, she came from the Sijihu family. Hapa, it's all about your hard work and resilience. You have to drop your father's title. You have to drop those titles that you had in Kenya. And you have to work. You have to be willing to do anything to succeed. And I'm not talking anything illegal. I'm talking about anything legal. Hakuna kitu like, mi siwezi osha matako, shauri yako, kaa nyumbani, be broke or go back home. Some of us have washed ass, and I'm not ashamed of that. I will clean it so good, because at the end of the day, I'm able to pay my bills, I'm able to buy my car, I'm able to buy my house, and I'm able to live. Okay? All right. So that's the end of part 2. The final part is just going to be the graduation and transitioning into the workforce in the US. But before I do that, right now, my next video before the third part is going to be the entitlement of Kenyans with their relatives' monies. Nobody owes you anything. Stay tuned.